Welcome to The Creatives. I am your host, Ashley Mahoney, and joining me today is returning guest Maria Howell. Maria, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
It is always a pleasure speaking with you, and you are always doing something, whether it is working with Noel Friedline and singing at Middle C Jazz, or your recent grant recipient from the Arts and Science Council, or being part of the cast of OWN's Delilah, which was shot and set here in Charlotte. Oh my goodness, how do you keep up with everything?
That's interesting. I was asking myself that same question this morning. And the answer I give is, honestly, I say, God, which steps do you need me to take? And then I take them. And if I think I'm doing something because I can do this better, something snaps, and then I have to pull myself back. So I kind of just take things step by step. Being a better time manager, that's always a key factor. And just doing it, you know what I mean? Just keep walking forward. So that sounded so philosophical, didn't it?
It did. I feel very ready to say, okay, I need to adopt that approach, take it and just adapt it to the rest of February, and then let that just, trickle down throughout the rest of March and then the rest of the year, because somehow we're almost halfway through February. I'm not sure how that happened. It feels like we should be talking about, when you and Noel had a special evening with Keith David at Middle C Jazz. It feels like that was yesterday. That was months ago. That was before the holidays. How are we so far into this year already?
I have no earthly idea. I just do know that sometimes I go to sleep, I wake up and I'm going, what day is it? Mm-hmm. And it's like weeks later from the last thing I was doing. It's really interesting and it's alarming.
Yes, it really is. And like you said, it's just this matter of finding this kind of way of taking step after step after step. So let's dive into some recent steps. Tell us a bit about your opportunity to join the cast of OWN's Delilah, which will come out in March. I feel like we were just talking about, the production process getting started here. Mm-hmm. That was last year. So many things. I'm like, I blinked. I just blinked and it's gone. It's happened. But we are still waiting.
But I'm just glad that through COVID that my industry has found its way to make it safe for us, because even doing Delilah, fortunately, it was done while I'm here on the East Coast. COVID testing every day. I mean, they're doing everything they can, and that makes me feel safe. And I have to keep myself safe so that I can be ready to work when the work presents itself. But being able to do something in this area, knowing that projects are coming back to the North Carolina and Charlotte area specifically, I'm completely excited. And I was also excited to learn that a couple of the cast members in the actual episode that I appeared in are friends of mine. And I didn't know they were in the show at first. And the director is originally from York, South Carolina. So there are a few other surprises I won't spill, but it's really, really nice to have the project here. And this is my first time, I think, working for the OWN network, because I had auditioned in the past for Greenleaf and for a couple of other shows, but this one I booked, fortunately, so I'm really excited about it. And I love the role I play.
So without giving away too much, tell us about how the opportunity came about. And like you said, it's this matter of making sure that the industry is still alive and well, but also still navigating within, COVID safe manners and so forth. So how did this opportunity come about for you?
Well, just like normal, some things I'm offered, and some things I have to audition for. And this particular one I auditioned for. The casting director pretty much had confidence in me, as my agents and my manager did, and they just sent the information to me. I auditioned for it. I felt like it was a good sweet spot for me. And next thing you know, they were like, okay, she can do this. So I had to go through the process like a lot of us do, and audition for it. Just fortunately, I was in this area to not have to travel so far.
Yes, that's always, when the commute is short, makes things that much better, especially when it involves something where you have to be on set and being here. And I know that speaking with like you said, there are a lot of familiar names who are involved in this production, whether you're talking about Charlotte City Councilman at Large Braxton Winston, who's part of the production in terms of the crew side, in terms of that, but also another Charlotte native, Martin Wilkins, in terms of working more on the directing side. And there are so many unique ties to this production that it's something where you look at it and you say, okay, you'll watch it, you'll know that it's set in Charlotte, you'll feel that it's set in Charlotte. But you think having so much local talent involved in so many aspects will give a little bit more of, all right, this has a strong Charlotte connection beyond the set.
And I'm hoping that the other talent in the area who may not be on this show, that'll be an encouraging, example that we've got things here, we've got talent here. And though there may be a lot of undiscovered talent here, I say to everybody, don't give up. If it's your passion, if you know it's the right thing for you to be doing, don't give up on it, even when it gets frustrating. And I think I heard through the grapevine that in one of the episodes, they mentioned my hometown of Gastonia. I always have to give a shout out to Gastonia.
Yes. It's so close, but people are like, oh yeah, the Charlotte area. And you're like, well, there's Concord to the north, and Rock Hill and Fort Mill to the south, Gastonia to the west, and then Indian Trail and Matthews to the east. Right. And can't forget Monroe. But there's so much around the area, and so much talent, like you said. And I know I've asked you this a number of times, but now that we are within kind of coming up on this year almost anniversary, I don't know if we want to call it that, because typically we want to associate anniversaries with positive things, but this year-long journey within the COVID-19 pandemic, what advice would you give to aspiring and working actors here? Like, this has been a hard year, and trying to navigate all of this, whether it's a lack of auditions or just trying to figure out which end is up. What advice do you have for them as projects like this continue to come through the area?
Well, I would honestly say, even when it seems dim, don't give up. This is the time for you to dig in, study, learn the business, and do all the things on the side. I had mentioned earlier how I feel like I've learned so much through this pandemic. I mean, the learning curve has been like steep for the tech aspect of it. So I would definitely encourage aspiring actors, keep studying, because when the time comes, opportunity meets that study that you've been doing, you'll be ready. So I would not give up. Don't let it fool you. It's still going to go on.
And speaking of going on, tell us about the Arts and Science Council grant that you received and what that grant will be used for.
Well, I have this whole concept, but this dates back to when I was a teenager, I think. I remember saying in my hometown, I didn't have anybody that I could reach out to and ask questions about what I do, because there was nobody else that I knew in my hometown. So I remember saying, one day I'm going to be able to help other folks in my position. I'm going to be accessible, and I'll help them connect their dots. So that's that's my moniker, Connect the Dots. It's pretty much a platform of coaching and consulting for acting, voiceover, and singing. And so the grant, thank God they have things like grants, artist support grants, and they awarded me one to upgrade it. I am constantly coaching, but I didn't have all of the necessary equipment because I didn't have to have it. And so they have afforded me the opportunity to get the equipment, such as camera, lights, and all these other things, so that when I'm demonstrating, I have my own equipment and I can help the younger folks. It doesn't, not necessarily younger folks, but anybody aspiring to do any of the disciplines that I do, that I can help them connect their dots. And it upgrades the system, the platform for me and for others. Because it's all about benefiting others anyway. I mean, I take all the knowledge, I call it street creds anyway. After 35 years, I'm able to, and I'm a working actor, that I can tell people what I know, what I've learned, and what I learn day to day in this process.
So you mentioned that the tech side has been one of the biggest quite steep learning curves. What else has the learning process been like for you? I mean, heck, if you had told me a year ago, like, yeah, this thing called Zoom, that's how you'll be recording podcasts now, I would have said,
yeah, exactly. Zoom is fine. But my learning curves came from voiceover mostly, simply because I could always do my auditions for voiceovers from home, but now I have to do the job. Meaning, should I book a job, whether it be with Disney, whether it be with Warner Brothers or whomever, they can pipe into my home now. I had to learn what the doggone interface was. And I mean, I've heard of it, but I didn't have to have it for myself. The interface, which kind of mic to use, what the meters need to look like, all that. I like to walk into a studio, do my job, and go home. Now I am my own director, producer, editor, all of that. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I do quite a bit, especially when it comes to the audition portion of voiceovers, taking out the pops, and any voiceover artist listening knows exactly what I'm talking about, because depending on which time of day, your mouth might be doing something differently. Am I getting gross? But anyway. So, there are a lot of ins and outs. And when it comes to auditioning for TV and film now, because it's self-taping, for example, if there is a scene where there's another person, I lay down the voiceover first if I can't find another actor who may be on the phone talking for the other person. If nobody's available, I've got to do it myself. So I lay down the voiceover, then I leave the spaces for my lines. That's a lot of tech. That's a lot of tech. And it can take you, if you're not careful, it can take you out of your head to where you get frustrated. But I've learned to manage all of this. Yeah, I've learned.
That is a lot. Oh, goodness.
You felt me. You felt my pain.
I did. As you were describing everything, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like someone's asking you to walk into the gym and just pick up one of the barbells and say, here, add on all the weight. Like you're used to doing this kind of curl. No, just add it all on. You can lift all the thing. You're like, no, I really don't want to. I mean, I can if I need to, but I really don't want to.
Exactly. So it's been an exciting learning curve, to say the least.
So I don't want to give any spoilers away about Delilah itself, but if you were to explain the concept of the show to people who are like, yeah, I've heard about it, I've seen some stuff on Instagram, maybe something here and there on Facebook, how do you explain the journey and the story to them, aside from the fabulous fact that you're in it, therefore they should watch it?
Oh, you're so kind. I would describe it as a woman, Delilah, she's a lawyer, and that she has integrity. She's an everyday woman that's really determined, strong-willed, very, caring for her friends, and she's a mother. So she takes you through this journey of what's most important in life. And I'm just going to leave it at that. The priorities, what's most important to carry on a successful, peaceful life. That makes sense. And peace doesn't always mean calm. Peace means you have a certain peace inside that you can maneuver and navigate through life. So I think she does a very good job of that. And the person herself, Maria Howell, is just amazing. So, yeah. Leave it at that.
And tell us the name of the character that you're portraying.
I am Judgeadora Morrison.
Oh, how do you get into character for Judgeadora Morrison?
It's really interesting. I didn't have that far of a stretch. That's so funny. I think being the oldest of 6 kids, I'm kind of conditioned to be authoritative, to be, just, as my siblings will probably call it, as bossy, but I tend to call it authoritative. I have that demeanor already, an organizer, a manager of people. So that wasn't a far stretch. I turned it up just a little bit though. I just kind of tweaked it a little bit to where it's like, that.
Okay. I mean, if you've watched the first look, it's right around the 24-second mark. And I was telling you, I'm like, just kind of rewinded it about 10 times. I was like, that's Maria. And then you can see just in that 2-second split of just, oh, you can tell. No, she's not.
I'm not playing.
She's not messing around with anybody. It's like, yep. You are in the presence of the judge.
But I'm just a gentle little flower in real life.
One of the sweetest and kindest people we've ever had the pleasure of having on this podcast and having in the paper. And it is always a pleasure knowing what's going on with your journey and seeing how you really, in so many ways, continue to uplift the community in terms of saying, you know what, I didn't, like you said, I didn't have that. I didn't have someone to be that guiding light of, this is how you can navigate this path. If you want it, it's here for you.
Yeah.
So what has the response been from people who you've mentored and consulted with in terms of that? Like, is it the light bulb experience for them of,
Oh God.
yes.
I think that's part of what motivates me to want to do that, is because when I see, just like I used to also teach like elementary school kids. I wasn't like an official teacher, but I would go into classrooms and read. I've always enjoyed that. And sometimes when you talk to them, ask them questions, allow them to ask questions, you can just see it in their eyes. And that excites me. That excites me so much. Even with adults, my adult students. But yeah, just that whole being able to share something and they go, huh, and you can see the wheels turning. I think any teacher that's a real teacher gets excited off of that.
Oh yeah, the second the light bulb comes on, it's just that little, hey, that's why we do this. That's what it's all about kind of moment. But as 2021 continues on, what does the rest of the year have in store for you? And not to, I know it can change in about 2.5 seconds, probably even less. But what's on the horizon for you for February heading into March?
Well, I've got quite a few things. I'm so excited about April 17th. I'll be doing, I call it my Girls in Gowns. We call it the gig, but it's Girls in Gowns, where I gather up several of my female singer friends. And at Middle C, we'll be just doing songs. We wear gowns. That's the thing. This started out as a charitable event for my charity, Students Without Mothers, out of Atlanta. So now they've asked me at Middle C to bring it to Charlotte. So I'm doing that. And we've got several of my friends. I won't give out names of spoilers right now, but we got several friends that are going to be appearing. Noel and I have quite a few things lined up for the musical programming, as well as I will be directing a short film for another friend of mine who Mary London Sparrow, who wrote the Lost World monologues. So after her husband passed away, she wrote a bunch of monologues. It's just, they're amazing, and they're very soothing, very cathartic, if you will. So we're gonna do a 30-minute short, and I've got a few active friends who are gonna participate in that. And let me see what else I got going on. I don't remember. I'll be working on a radio show, my own, and that'll be coming up March, April, somewhere in that neighborhood. on an online platform, a faith-based internet radio show.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, where can people head to listen to the show in that March, April timeframe?
Say it again now.
Where can people head to hear the show in March and April?
They can, it'll be posted up on Middle C. Okay. You can always, am I pointing in the right direction?
Yes.
Am I pointing in the right direction?
Or is it head over toward, this way?
I always post things. You can find it on my website. It'll be coming out very soon on Middle C's website as well. But mark the date. Actually, did I say the 17th? I meant oh my gosh, I forgot the date. Not the 17th. It's April 10th. I messed that date up. April 10th. So April 9th and 10th, because Noel will be doing Dave Brubeck, and the very next night, April 10th, I will be doing Girls in Gowns. A lot going on.
It's definitely a lot to try and keep everything. It's like, all right, there's so many different things happening, and let's just keep it all somewhat organized.
Yeah, I get up every day and look at the calendar or night before, and then the day of, because I'm going, okay, I don't want to mess this up. You know, it's definitely a call for managing your time. That's for sure.
Yes. Well, with all of the fabulous projects you have going on, kudos on the time management, because bravo. That is fabulous. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, people definitely have to head over to @MariaSings.
Maria Sings Acts. I think I spelled that correctly. Maria Sings Acts. That's on Twitter. That's on Instagram, and you can go to Maria Howell Facebook page, my fan page. Just Google it, and it'll come up.
Fabulous. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. You have a fabulous social media presence, and we'll definitely be keeping up with everything as it continues on. And I can't wait to see how, I know it's a lot right now, and there will be even more before the next time we have you back on the podcast. But much success with everything that's on your plate right now. Enjoy it all. I know it's a lot, but enjoy it.
Thank you so much for all your support too, because you are amazing. Thank you. So we've got a lot going on this weekend too. So we've got some shows at Middle C. So hey, it's I'm just very grateful and thankful that things are continuing on in the safest form. And people are really supporting the artists. I'm really, really pleased with that.
Yes. Well, make sure, once again, you head over to @MariaSingsActs because you want to be able to keep up with everything that this fabulous artist is doing. And Maria, thank you always for joining us on the podcast and for sharing your story and your journey and your vision with us and with our listeners and our readers. But for all the listeners, make sure you head over to thecharlottepost.com because that's where all the fabulous content lives. And then it really jumps off the page at you. I mean, quite literally every Thursday. You can get your copy at 5118 Princess Street, or better yet, become a subscriber. You can do it print, or you can do a digital subscription. Or if you just go for print, you get both. But either way, that's my spiel. That's my go support local journalism diatribe for this afternoon or morning or evening, whenever you're listening to this episode. Just make sure you listen. So, Maria, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate you.
Until next time, I am your host, Ashley Mahoney. Thank you for listening.